Hello, Paul McFadden here. So this week I am taking your questions that I got from Instagram when I did the Ask Me Anything, and I'm going to tell a little bit more detail on the podcast. And today's question was, do you invest in stocks or currency more than you do with property? Now this is a good question, and this is a question that tends to pop up when people are talking about different ways of making money, whether you should diversify, whether you should focus on a specific asset class, what is the best asset class. And reality is it depends where you're at in your journey right now. Now, I do have a stocks portfolio. I also have some cryptocurrency, but I do not day trade or trade any of those things. Anything that I invest when it comes to stocks as well as cryptocurrency, I'm investing in the long haul. So I'm not thinking about when's the high or trying to time a certain market and to get in and to get out. That's not my strategy at all when it comes to stocks or even cryptocurrency. Now, before I get into that a little bit more, let me help you for a second. Depending on where you're at in your journey, I can imagine that 99% of the people who follow me because of my involvement in property, and chances are you want to be involved in property. Hey, maybe you've got some stocks or you've got some, cryptocurrency or whatever it may be. Now, my response to this on Instagram was, yes, I do have some stocks and I have cryptocurrency, and I'm about to increase my holdings in cryptocurrency. I was inundated with questions thereafter asking what cryptocurrency am I going to invest in, and I'm not going to tell anyone. Why? Because it would be wrong of me to let someone know what I was investing in, for them to then go and invest their own money into that, when my investment into the cryptocurrencies that I've invested into is completely speculative. Like, I've got no experience whatsoever in cryptocurrency. I have experience in stocks and the value of stocks when it comes to different businesses and where to invest and so forth. However, my stocks portfolio is completely hands off. My private wealth banking takes care of that for me, and I'm able to invest through them, so I'm able to get a return on their experience and knowledge of playing the stocks and shares game. Of course, I have a lot of shareholdings in various different businesses, not all property related. That's very different from trading on stocks or owning stocks in publicly listed companies where you can go and buy stock, and if it goes up, you make more money. If it goes down, and the stock market is very volatile. Hence why I don't get involved in Forex trading or even stock trading. I focus on finding the right companies to invest in. But again, my portfolio manager in my private wealth banking takes care of the stocks. And the only reason I invest into stocks is because nowadays I have more money that it makes sense for me to put to work somewhere else rather than leaving it in the bank, which is getting you nothing. Now, by far, like 95% of my wealth and my net worth comes from my property investments in the different businesses I'm involved in. Now, with that in mind, if you're just getting started in your property journey and you might be thinking about diversifying and what to do, and you might be seeing things like Bitcoin's going through the roof just now, and you think that you should be investing there, or you're hearing about stocks and certain companies that's just going crazy, you might hear all the stuff about everything happening with the Wall Street betting and everything else, and the Reddit betting and everything. It's just been nuts. Now, this is the problem when there's so much media hype and so much, fear of loss or the fear of missing out. People make the wrong investments, trying to get big returns, and that there is very concerning and worrying. I'm not investing in cryptocurrency or stocks for a short-term win. It's a long-term play, and I'm doing that with the experts. And the only reason I'm investing in cryptocurrency is because I've got great friends of mine who have invested 7 figures, multiple millions of pounds into cryptocurrency, and that's where I get my intel from, and I would not pass that on to anyone else. It's different when it comes to property. Property, I know inside out. Like, some of the bigger developments that we work on take 6 months to a year of due diligence, going through so much, doing lots of surveys, investing hundreds of thousands of pounds in most cases to try and see if we're able to get planning gain on a strategic site or strategic land which we're trying to secure for a retirement village or for new build development or whatever it may be. There's so much time and effort, lots of experts in various different, parts that all come to the table with their opinion, with their thoughts before we make certain decisions, working on the numbers, speaking with various different people in the property game to make sure that all the boxes are ticked, so to speak, before we even go ahead and buy a property or buy a bit of land or do anything. Now, if we go back to just bricks and mortar, one property, if you're going to just go and buy a property, whether it's to hold and do a buy to let or whether it's a flip, you still want to do your due diligence. And I know property inside out. There is no better vehicle class if you know how to buy right and where to find the deals, how to add value and make sure you get your money back out so there's nothing at risk. So when I asked the question about stocks and currency, it would be wrong for me to say that I don't invest, because I do, but I never done it until the last, 5 years? Up until then, my sole focus was singular and it was laser focused on building my property business and be involved in property. In fact, I didn't even get into other business interests until 5.5, maybe 6 years ago. I stayed solely focused on property because it's what I knew, what I wanted to build, so I could build something that's got longevity, and hence why I'm no longer involved in my property businesses. I'm a shareholder in most of the businesses. I'm a shareholder in the company that has the majority of my portfolio. I don't direct those businesses. There's other directors in there who are active in running the business day to day. And I then am a shareholder in various different companies where I can give shareholders value. I can speak to the managing directors or the directors and the people who are running the day-to-day operations, and it will continue to build and grow the companies. And when I'm more active, that's where I spend and focus more time. But for me to be able to make strategic investments, I had to get the main business right, systemized, running. And my recommendation for you would be, if you're chasing the returns, don't get caught up in all the hype. Think longer term. And that's the biggest challenge these days, when it can be very luring into the what if, Elon Musk has just spoke about how Tesla's invested 1.5 billion into Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin spikes by 16%, and now everybody wants to go invest in Bitcoin. It spikes it further until people then start coming out, everybody panics, and it's always the retail investor, the speculative investor. I spend 10, 15 hours a day for over a decade learning about property, being involved in property, the singular focus, being all in on this. I put less than half an hour, less than an hour or two a month, if that, into research on cryptocurrency and stocks. So with that said, if I'm a speculative investor, even though I've got a private wealth manager who looks after my stocks, but when it comes to cryptocurrency, sure, I've got people who are experts in there, but I'm completely speculative in my investment. And this is where you need to draw the line between speculative investing and being an investor to actually focus on the returns and knowing things inside out. So you can't beat property hands down. And hey, if you're thinking about getting started in property, or you're already involved in property, you're looking to accelerate things, systemize your business so it's structured to allow you to come from working in to working on the business, to then be able to make more surplus funds to diversify into other ventures, then hey, head over to propertyprotege.com and we can help you do that. As always, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the podcast player, and I'll catch you tomorrow for another question. So all the best, and bye for now.